wounded, and as the bullet was being extracted from his upper thigh, he said the bullet paid for by his tax dollars. He thought all night long about what could he do to put a more positive spin, a positive experience. What could you do to do something about American foreign policy that was positive? And in the morning, when he called the press conference, which he had Gail set up, he announced, first of all, that Reagan was an assassin, and that he had conceived of a new organization called IFCO, Pastors for Peace, and that they would be returning to Nicaragua with humanitarian aid. Pastors for Peace over the years has done caravans of humanitarian aid to Guatemala, to Honduras, to Mexico, Chiapas, to Nicaragua, and to Cuba. This will be the 25th caravan to Cuba this year. What I did not know is that Gail was on that trip. What I did not know is that 29 people were wounded. What I did not know is that 2 people were killed. What I did not know is there was blood all over this ferry. This was an ambush by the Contras, an ambush that I don't think we heard too much about in the United States. And Gail just shared this at my house today, and so I wanted to give you a picture of the woman's commitment who, by the way, while her father was wounded, his first words were, "Take pictures." And then, you know, as soon as he had the bullet taken out, call a press conference. So if that gives you a little idea of her background, her roots, her DNA, here she is, Gail Walker.
Cuba Solidarity organization for helping to pull this evening together. Where's my dear friend, my new friend Mindy? There she is. Mindy was the first person I met early this morning on the Amtrak train and helped to ferry me up the river in a good way, get me here safely. And of course my dear friend Pepe has been shepherding me throughout the area. We had an opportunity to speak over at Union College this afternoon to a class there, and then met just before that with one of the members of the assembly. Fahey. I got it sort of mixed up in my brain. So that was a great opportunity, and then of course being able to be with you here tonight. So thanks for coming. It's cold. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here, and it means a lot. I know that for those of us who have been really interested in Cuba, traveling to Cuba, having a passion for all things Cuba, that this has been a really exciting time. We know that the declaration that was made by Presidents Barack Obama and Raul Castro are really opening the opportunities, I think, for a new period. We're excited by the decision, the announcement that there would be really a push to try to work to normalize relations. There's clearly a lot of work that needs to be done to get us to the point where that can fully and finally happen. And certainly, I think for those, I think I speak for everyone in the room when I speak about the fact that we want to see a complete lifting of the embargo. I know that there's sometimes a discrepancy between how we refer to this. Some of us call it an embargo, some of us call it a blockade because of its extraterritorial nature. I think that the important thing is finding common ground, and I think that there are a lot of people, regardless of what side of the aisle you might fall on, that are really in favor of a change in policy and improved relations with Cuba and improved situations for our loved ones and friends and family in Cuba. And so it's with that spirit that the work that we've been doing, we at IFCO Pastors for Peace will continue to organize caravans. It's actually going to be the 26th caravan this summer that we'll be organizing. And I think as I walked in, someone said, oh, IFCO Pastors is going to be organizing a caravan. And my answer to that is absolutely yes. Some people have been calling the office and saying, this is great. Obama and Castro made this announcement. We're done. We've finished. Our work is done. No more caravans. Let's celebrate. And I said, oh, slow down, slow down. Look, we got a little more work to be done. The reality is that the blockade has not been lifted. The embargo is still in place. The travel ban, there's still limits on travel. There has been a loosening of many aspects of the relations, and that's wonderful and something that we want to applaud and we want to sort of see move forward. But there's still a lot to be done in order to encourage our lawmakers to really once and for all change and end this embargo. The fact that there has been so much attention focused on Cuba in this last period of time, and I think it's worth reiterating that the editorials, the plethora of editorials that were in the New York Times in the last several months prior to the announcement, calling for an end to the embargo, calling for a prisoner swap between Alan Gross and the remaining members of the Cuban Five. The work that Cuban physicians were doing, and the fact that it was being highlighted in West Africa to fight Ebola, all of that helped to kind of put Cuba in the spotlight, and I think in a very powerful and important way. And I think it helped to get us to the point where we can now talk about this new and change in regulations as it relates to Cuba. But I would dare to say that those efforts, combined with the efforts of people like IFCO pastors and like so many in this room who have traveled to Cuba, some who have gone without a license, some who have gone with a license, but have come back to the United States and had conversations with your family members, your community, whether that be your church community, your work community, libraries like this, and homes across the country. There's really been, I think, an effort to talk about Cuba in an open and honest way, so that we're not really sort of continuing to spread misinformation. I was saying earlier today and speaking at Union College that no one is trying to say that Cuba is perfect. Nowhere is perfect. But there are many laudable accomplishments that Cuba has accomplished, and that it's worth lifting up and applauding. But I do think that there are situations where we have an attempt to really undermine what Cuba is, what it represents, and that's part of what we, as we've organized these caravans, have tried to struggle and to fight against. And what I mean by that is the sense that that Cuba is the boogeyman. The efforts to really put a negative spin on all things that are Cuban. rampant, misinformation campaign that kind of gets riled up. I was explaining to one of the students that I had watched a weather report. This is going back quite some time. But I'll never forget that I was shocked because it was a map, a weather map. There was a storm that was coming in the area. And there was a weather map of the region. And literally, Cuba was gone. I saw Florida. I saw, Jamaica, the Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Haiti, but there was no Cuba. It was like it had just disappeared. And I think that, that's what I mean about, that concept that Cuba doesn't matter. And the fact is that there are countless people who have traveled to the island who have been able to experience the reality in Cuba and have returned here to the U.S. to talk about that reality, to prove that Cuba does matter and that there are things that have been accomplished there that we want to talk about. But it's not just a one-sided relationship. It's not, we don't talk about the lifting of this embargo, this blockade because of Cuba, to provide support to Cuba. That's not what this is all about. Certainly, we want to see improved relations. We want Cuba to be free of the pressure that's been imposed by our government's embargo policy. But there's also a value that those of us here in the U.S. can receive from improved relations. And what do I mean by that? Let's just talk about a couple of examples. There are many people, and I can speak firsthand from my family, many people in the African American community who suffer from diabetes. It's not just a black thing, but I can speak firsthand about it because I have many members of my family who suffer. Cuba has provided, has created a treatment that deals with the issue of diabetic ulcers. And so that they're able to actually reduce the number of people who've got to have limbs actually cut off due to diabetes. It's a serious problem. This is a serious contribution that Cuba has made in the medical arena that we could benefit from if we could talk about ways that we can improve our relations across the Florida Straits. There's vitiligo. The lightening of skin. I guess a lot of people knew that maybe Michael Jackson had that issue. I don't know. I don't know a person to point to, but it's a skin ailment that Cuba has a treatment for. There is a product called Vitatox, which is not a cure for cancer. I'm not trying to oversell it, but it's certainly something that has been helpful in reducing some of the horrible side effects of cancer. And a lot of people who are choosing to do chemotherapy are using that treatment in concert and getting some relief from some of the effects of the chemotherapy. So there's things like that that we can talk about. One of the caravans that we organized in the past, well, let me back up. Sometimes we, thank you so much. Sometimes we do what we call a reverse challenge. The way that the caravans work is that when we're traveling, we stop in, we maybe have 10 different routes along the northern part of the U.S. Some of them start in Canada. We cross over to the U.S. We stop in different communities each night, and we collect people and vehicles and aid, but most importantly, we hold educational events. We hold meetings like this, or anything that creatively people can think of in their community to allow an opportunity to have a dialogue and to talk about the real Cuba. Not Cuba the boogeyman, but what are the good, bad, the ugly of what Cuba has to offer. And we cross the border, we converge in Texas, we eventually then cross the border into Mexico. The vehicles and the aid are put on a ship in Mexico, and they set sail to Cuba. And the caravan members, we call ourselves caravanistas, fly to Cuba, and we have at least a 7 to 10 day program there where we're trying to meet people face to face and have an opportunity to visit with schools and hospitals and churches and cultural activities, but just trying to get a flavor of the reality of Cuba, and then return to the U.S. to talk about what our experience has been. When we come back, when we return to the U.S., we have done what we call a reverse challenge. And there have been times when we have brought back items that have been manufactured in Cuba. In the early part of our caravan organizing, we began doing this in 1992, there was much more, I think, resistance on the part of U.S. authorities, taking some of the supplies that we were not only bringing down, but also that we were bringing back. But I just want us to talk a little bit about the reverse challenge for a moment, because it relates to that list of items that Cuba has to offer. So one year we brought back a product that was essentially a rodenticide, something to kill mice. And I'm sorry for people who are squeamish with that, but it's a non-toxic, at least not to people, certainly to the mice, I guess, rodenticide called Biorap. And Cuba uses this to deal with mice infestation. So it's yet another example of the ingenuity, and that list goes on and on of things that Cuba has to offer that we could benefit from here as well. So it's a two-sided street. It's not just let's let this embargo, this blockade, because the poor Cubans are going to be lost without us. They've been surviving quite fine in many ways, despite the fact that there has been this 50-plus year embargo in place upon them. So, but at the same time, there have been things that Cuba has not been able to accomplish. There have been limitations on trade, on various aspects of what it means to be a partner in the international arena due to this U.S. policy, and that's why it's still important for us to work to end it. And that's what our aim is when we organize these caravans. So we're planning to go this summer. We don't know what will happen between now and then. We know that on December 17th, that President Barack Obama and Raul Castro made an announcement that they would be looking toward normalizing relations between the U.S. and Cuba. Thus far, what our president has done is to make travel a bit easier. There's still limitations. It's not just that I can just go over to the airport and get on a plane and head over to Cuba and back. It's not quite as difficult, and that's a good thing. But our plan, ours, meaning IFCO pastors, is to continue doing what we started out doing, which is to organize these caravans until we see an end to this policy, this mean-spirited, hurtful policy that's creating suffering not only for the people of Cuba, but I dare say for the people of the United States. So while it's easier to travel, and there's about 12 different categories that the president has made it less complicated for people to take advantage of to go to Cuba, our sense is that until we can just walk on over to the airport and buy a ticket and go to Cuba and return without the harassment that the government tends to do when one goes to Cuba, we feel that this is a part of the work that we must continue to do. So there are some wonderful things to celebrate. The fact that there is a U.S. president that has spoken to Congress and said embargo is antiquated, and what did he say when he talked about that saying about if you continue to do something over and over again and you get the same result? What is that called? That's the one. And so here you have a president, a U.S. president, declaring that to the Congress and the State of the Union, really calling on Congress to work to lift the embargo, lift the blockade. And what a wonderful gift that was for those of us who've been working to do this. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who are nervous and question whether, working with members of government is really the way to go, is really wise, is really in Cuba's best interest. And I understand the concern, because the reality is, I believe, that while Cuba is, while the U.S. has claimed that they wanted to see relations improve, they've also been very clear that their goal is the same. The names have kind of changed. Some call it regime change. Some have said they want to pressure Cuba to put pressure on Cuba so that certain things change. But I think what will happen ultimately, like we said, remains to be seen. There are certain things that the United States government has said that they will not do. There are certain things that the Cubans have said that they want, that are at opposing position. So where this will all wind up, I don't know. But the fact that for the first time in 50 some odd years, you have a U.S. president who is saying, I want to try to work with Cuba to find a way to negotiate through some of our differences. Because the reality is, I don't think that there's going to be, they're going to be able to have common ground on everything. But the fact that there's at least an opening and the push to try to create this dialogue, I think, is a really important step. How we work with members of government and how that will all sort of get sussed out in the end, again, remains to be seen. But still, there's been really incredible opening. And it's fair to say that just about, I'm looking around, I think I won't insult anyone by saying that just about, maybe not, everybody, almost everybody in this room, this blockade, this embargo has been in place, maybe not, young man, for our lifetime, since we've all been alive, right? I'm waiting to see if I insulted anybody. Did I insult you? And what an exciting thing to be able to say, wow, a policy that's been in place, that we've been working to try to see change, is there's an opening here. And I guess lastly, I'll just say that I think that we need to honor the fact that Cuba is not a frail nation, anything but. And there will be challenges, I think, with the opening of any kind of a relationship with the U.S. There'll be some challenges that Cuba will have to face, but they'll figure it out. And I think it's, incumbent upon us to have a sense of faith and confidence that that they will be able to do that. There may be some stumbles along the way, but that's Cuba's right to do that. And that our responsibility, I think, as friends in solidarity with Cuba, is to honor that, recognize that, and not approach Cuba from some kind of a paternalistic point of view, but recognize that Cuba has earned this moment, and the United States, we collectively have earned this moment, and now it's a matter of working to sort of see what we can do to keep pushing forward with the work that we're doing, to keep Cuba, challenging the travel ban, returning to the U.S. and talking about Cuba. It's all of that that has helped to really get us to the point where we are now, where we're talking about new and different ways of relating to Cuba. And I think it's an exciting time. It's not a done deal. There's lots to be done, but it's clear that history is being made as we speak, and that's an exciting thing. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to encourage you to, on the back table, pick up some information about the upcoming caravan, because we're going to be organizing this summer. And ideally, every last one of you in this room will be on the caravan. And if not on the caravan, certainly supporting the Caravanista that are traveling from this area of New York to head down. I think that it's going to be an exciting time, regardless of where things stand with policies between the U.S. and Cuba this coming summer. There's a lot of different interest in people getting to Cuba now. We're trying to help facilitate that as best we can by taking groups down and making sure that people are really having an opportunity to really see and witness Cuba, and not just from the beach. Doesn't mean you can't go to the beach, but and not just from tasting Cuban rum. It doesn't mean that you can't taste Cuban rum or smoke Cuban cigars. But we want to make sure that people are really have an opportunity to explore Cuba and see all of the wonderful things that it has to offer. So those are just some of the things I wanted to at least share with you, and I'm open to back and forth, a dialogue, any questions, any comments. But I'm looking forward to this next period.